I really need to find a new way to start these segments. Next up on the bench is not a new project. In fact, I'm revisiting one of the projects from the Big Spring Contest from a couple of years ago. Namely, the Mirror Has Two Sides project that showed both the Federation USS Odysseus and the Imperial USS Odysseus. First thing I wanted to do was take the mold that I'd done to create the mirror version of the Odysseus and work on finishing it so I can actually make more versions of ships using this style hull. Biggest problem with it is the fact that, as you see here, the bottom section is not complete. And while I had thought about trying to just make a new one and splice it in, I decided I'll probably be better off, especially given the condition of the mold here, going back and redoing at least the lower half of the mold. The other big problem was the struts for between the nacelles. These were originally done in balsa, and one of the problems, as a friend of mine online pointed out, with using wood is no matter what you do with it, it's going to look like wood. You can make out some of the wood grain in this one. It's especially bad on the Imperial version. That, and I've got this nice blocky strut that I wanted to address too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get the upper hull to fit back into the mold, although it's in kind of bad shape too, so I probably work on cleaning it up a little more. But I'm also going to redo the pod assembly by making a master for the struts and casting it. And then I'll go back and fix it on both ships. Luckily, I don't have to worry about salvaging these nacelles because I've got the spare set from the other one. But that's where we're sitting. I may wind up doing some rescribing on the master. We'll see. But we're on the bench with old projects at this point. Alright, I admit it, I haven't been doing as much as I probably should have been doing on the rework of the Pegasus class molds, but well, it doesn't look like a lot has changed from what went previously. One of my problems in the old mold, and this does show it well, is I did not score the horizontal lines on the hull edition. So I wound up having to draw them in on the actual ship when I got to that point. So what I've done this time, using a straight edge and a dental pick that I picked up from Harbor Freight, I went in, zoom in and see if it'll cooperate. I went in, yeah, you can probably make it out a little here, there's a slight doubling of the line. This line was my hand-drawn pencil line. This line here is the one I just finished scribing, and I've gone through and scribed the lines on the whole hull edition so that when I redo the mold, and at this point I'm probably going to have to do the whole mold, but when I redo the mold, I will actually have those lines engraved and not have to guesstimate where they should be. Now, the other piece I have finished today is my mold box. It's now deep enough that even the saucer dome there won't stick out of the mold. And it's a good thing I didn't need to go much deeper. Truth be told, the actual level that I need to go to is probably right about even with that row of bricks. But this gives me a little overflap possible. Current plan is to seal in the gaps from the shrinkage of the other mold, and then pour new silicone to make the bottom mold, and flip the whole thing over and reverse the process for the top mold. We'll see how all of that goes. Ran into one slight problem. Let me show you. Just Flat did not have enough silicone left in the tub. As you can see, it's not quite filling the mold to the level I need it. So what I'm going to have to do, I've done what I can using the old mold to help bring it up a little more, but at this point what I'm going to have to do, and I mean have to do, is get some more silicone so I can fill the rest of that mold. Alright, while I wait for some more rubber to arrive, decided to get to work on the replacement for the struts instead of the balsa one. Going to be working with styrene and probably Abe's epoxy sculpt. What I've done is I've printed off a couple of templates to work. I'm going to glue the template to the sheet styrene so I can use it as a cutting template. I'll probably do a couple of layers of styrene for my base thickness, and then build with Abe's from there. And after some considerable delays, I'm back. I'll apologize for the mess around the workbench at the moment, but I do have something to show for the progress. Namely, new molds. Got full molds for the hull. The mold for the top, you'll know, the three holes here are hard to miss. Those are basically going to be the pour vents. Close the mold up, clamp the edges together to keep it from leaking, and then just pour through the tops here. Also got the mold for the crossbar, which I'll just use twice to create the one for the ships, and then the mold for the center strut. Here I've actually gone to do it in halves that I'll then glue together. Hopefully with a little luck, the next time I update here, I'll have some actual castings to show for at least the crossbar and the strut. Alright, at this point I have not attempted to cast with the main hull mold. Not that worried about that because that wasn't the primary goal of this mess. The primary goal of this mess was the top pod and the new center strut. Now, one thing I've discovered is these molds are actually slightly uneven, which could prove to be a bit of a problem. So what I've done is I've braced them so that when I pour, I don't wind up with plastic running all over. The detail, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but the detail that I scribed in is picked up by the mold, which is good. At this point, what I've got to do now is clean these pieces up and cast another set. Because I've got to do not only the set for the Odysseus herself, which will replace this assembly. At this rate, I may restart that assembly from scratch. But also the one on the ISS version. We'll see how things go. Okay, at this point, I've got a complete set of both pod and struts, as well as the vertical struts that would fit both the Klingon version, or both the mirror version and the mainline version of the Odysseus. But now I'm in kind of a quandary, because I'm looking over at least the mainstream version of the Odysseus, and there are some areas paint-wise and marking-wise that she needs work. Especially on the hull itself, where I've got some yellowing coming through that I can only think is coming from the resin, because it's not affecting the plastic part of the kit. And I've got some nicks and chips from where I removed the strut. What I'm thinking I may do, given what it'll take to fix all of the flaws in the paint and stuff, is I may go through and just flat out redo paint, markings, the whole shebang. The base is one thing I probably won't touch. But at this point, that's where I'm sitting. I am probably going to wind up redoing the paint and markings on both versions of the Odysseus. Which means I may go back and actually Aztec it. At least the thought has occurred to me. So we'll go from there.